Hello everyone, my name is Peter Schaknat. I am the Managing Director of Schaknat Electronic GmbH, and today we are going to optimize a Morelo Palace Liner with the new Schaknat app. Quick overview of today's process. This is a Mercedes Atego 1230 with an OM936 engine, 299 horsepower and 1,200 Newton meters of torque. The 7.7 liter engine is available with 240 horsepower and, as in this case, 299 horsepower, and in the larger trucks it even comes with 350 horsepower. So it's great that if we move up one power class, we can really achieve significant improvements in performance, torque and fuel savings. As mentioned, we will once again be optimizing both the engine and the transmission using our new Schaknat app. This customer is now here with us for his third motorhome, which shows he is a very dedicated Morelo fan. As you can see, it's an absolutely beautiful vehicle, built on a very large chassis and also with a Vertego body, so its overall size is a little bit smaller than a standard truck. A truck, as you can imagine, also drives in a completely and totally different manner. To give you some background, the customer previously had two Iveco Daily models, which we also optimized, but you can still clearly see that people in the motorhome sector, especially with a premium brand like Morelo, have a strong tendency to move up to these bigger, more substantial models. As I've said, a genuine truck chassis provides a driving experience that is truly worlds apart from that of a small commercial vehicle. So, very briefly, let's take a moment to look around the exterior of the vehicle. As is our standard procedure, we'll go ahead and conduct an initial measurement. The tracking and the steering wheel aren't perfectly straight, so for today's initial test, we'll only be performing measurements on the rear axle. We'll lock the front axle for now. Here, everything is already securely strapped down. My colleague Bastian has already done the work of securing it properly in the rollers onto the eddy current brake, as you can see back here. There's not a lot of space down there, so we always have to be extremely careful and make absolutely sure we don't damage the beautiful bodywork and ensure everything is properly strapped down so it's securely tensioned to the rear. You can see the customer has a super cool and detailed airbrush on the back. It's really nicely done, featuring his dogs, so he's obviously a big dog fan. If you're interested, I should also mention I have the customer's explicit permission to show you the inside of this luxurious motorhome. As I said, with this particular variant, we're looking at a range somewhere between, I would say, approximately 150 and 200,000 euros. So it's definitely in the higher premium segment of the market. Just briefly, if you're interested, the customer has a massive rear garage. Let's go ahead and open it up quickly so you can see what I mean. As you can see, it's a huge rear garage. You could very easily fit a smart car or another similar small car right inside there. That's how you can go on vacation in style. When you're parked at a campsite, you remain completely flexible and mobile. The general trend, especially with Morelo or other big body manufacturers like Concorde or Phoenix, is clearly moving towards these larger chassis and fully custom bodies. In an upcoming video, we'll also be featuring an Actros body, an Empire model, and we'll do a complete performance measurement and show everything about it. But as you can see, the craftsmanship is really well done. When you're at a campsite, you can put your bikes or motorcycles in the back. It's really nicely made, just a great overall job. All right, let's take a quick look inside the living area. I've already put the steps out, so let's open up and step right inside. You can see there's a tremendous amount of space in here. Right over here is the main seating group. I've got the two real driver's seats from the truck in here. I would say, if you've ever driven an Iveco Daily and then drive something like an Atego or an Actros-based motorhome, it is truly a whole different league of driving comfort and stability. Fundamentally, the basic chassis itself is also significantly heavier and more robust than an Iveco Daily with a 7.5-ton body. So what you get with the bigger models is that you really notice the chassis are, I wouldn't say at their limit, but with these truck chassis, you just have a lot more reserve. You can also feel it on the road. It just drives more smoothly and comfortably, and the chassis isn't overloaded. As you can see, everything here is top-notch. The customer has everything, hydraulic supports, water, basically everything can be controlled digitally now, even via app. He'll get his engine optimization through an app as well. The customer is very technically interested, especially when it comes to engines and motorhomes in general, and that's why I said we've already done a lot for him. You can see back here, the bedroom is also really nicely done, all carpeted. This is how you can enjoy a vacation. This is how you can really relax. But let's get back to the topic. We're now going to use the new app, the Schaknat app. As I said, the customer will get the dongle from us. You can see it, we've already shown it in the videos. So basically, we'll connect the ECU again, check the initial measurement, the baseline power. We'll measure it once in stock condition, and then, using the app, we'll do both eco and power optimization, including transmission optimization, everything together. The customer will get the app as well. By now, with Mercedes, we also have the fault memory entries included. As I said, eco, power, and transmission optimization. The error code descriptions will also be visible, and in the next update, you'll be able to assign them with clear text, so the customer can really identify, for example, exhaust back pressure sensor or differential pressure sensor. What's great is that the error code is described in detail, so we can actually use it. All right, Basti will do the initial measurement now, then we'll look at the baseline reading and quickly log it with the app. That way I have the initial power output. I have to say the 299 horsepower engine actually has very little engine scatter, so I'm pretty sure we'll measure our 300 horsepower and 1200 Newton meters here. Mercedes really has this under control with the Atego, especially since the engine is available with up to 1400 Newton meters in the 350 horsepower version. So we'll probably be aiming for a power output of 350, 360 horsepower. Of course, what's always important is that we want the engines and transmissions to last. Motorhomes don't experience those extreme loads or long distances like you see in the truck sector. Here it's more about vacationing, relaxed driving, so that people can get over the Brenner Pass and the motorhomes just run more smoothly and quietly without having to downshift so much. And I think what's become a huge topic nowadays is also fuel consumption. Like I said, with this one, we can get the average down by 1.5 to 2 liters. Sure, some people say, if you can afford such an expensive motorhome, you don't care about fuel costs. But still, if you travel a lot with your motorhome, you end up saving 200 to 400 euros on fuel over 5,000 kilometers. And that's money you don't necessarily have to spend. So as I said, we optimize it cleanly, but the main focus is always on fuel consumption. And with that, I'd say let's get started. We're now sitting in the motorhome and we're already doing the baseline measurement on the rear axle. So Basti is going to start the measurement now. We've synchronized the RPM again at 1000 revolutions, 7th gear. The nice thing with the Mercedes is that we can still measure on the rear axle. With Scania or Iveco, for example, you can forget about that completely. Then we have to measure in all-wheel drive. If the alignment isn't right, it's a disaster and we can't get a proper measurement. That's why Basti is starting the baseline measurement now, and we can just swing the camera over for a moment.
As you can observe, the operator is currently applying the brake to the engine while it is secured on the dynamometer test bench. After a brief moment, he releases the brake to conclude this initial measurement. Now he begins to accelerate the engine once again, taking it from a low idle speed and smoothly revving it all the way up through its entire operational range. On the monitor, you can see the performance curve being generated, which shows the engine's revolutions per minute, or RPM, as it steadily climbs until it reaches its predefined maximum revs. Once that peak is hit, we then proceed to disengage the clutch, which allows the engine to freely and naturally coast back down to its resting idle speed, completing the power run.
Brutal, it's a really hot day today, I'm just sweating again. As I said before, we've now done the initial measurement. As you saw, we have a result of 280 horsepower and 2152 Newton meters of torque. I mentioned that they have pretty much the standard factory output, but we're still missing about 20 horsepower and almost 50 Newton meters of torque. We'll make up for that difference now. We're going to log the data set with the app so you can see the process again. My colleague Bas is going to do that now. You can turn off the engine, let it be. I'll show you that briefly in just a moment. Now we're connecting again down there via the onboard diagnostics, so through the OBD connector. You can see it here with the dongle. Exactly down there is the diagnostic socket where the original manufacturer also connects. Then the phone comes out again, then we go back to the brand. The app is opened again, we go back, let's do it a bit slower so you can see the seconds. Now you can go back here to settings, Bluetooth, then you have the OBD link to connect. Once it's found, it goes pretty quickly. Then we go back to the Schaknat app. When the ignition is on, you can see it. It automatically fetches the vehicle identification number, the VIN. You can see here quite well. Our new control units are already stored here. Down here we also have the new button to read and clear diagnostic error codes already included. You can see the individual binary codes here, the error codes, and there will be a description for them in the next update. As I said, that's coming very soon. We can already go ahead and reset an error code, as you can see right now. Okay, please go back once. So now we're here in this software number. If we now store the software status for the customer, I'll show you that briefly on the laptop. The initial output is correct. We're now programming again from the outgoing torque in the engine control unit. I'll show you that briefly in a moment. And as I said, the power optimization for this particular one will be about 300 Newton meters. We'll see that in the final measurement as well. As long as the cars are always technically in good condition, the torque is almost always spot on, almost 1-to-1. Of course, if I'm missing 50 Newton meters and 20 horsepower, that's still within the normal range, I'd say. But obviously, you really feel every single horsepower, especially going uphill. So now we'll program it on the laptop, and then we'll see each other again during the flashing process, and then for the final measurement. I just downloaded the software online again via the app. As I said, we have our own app portal. Next week or the week after, we'll be able to store customer-specific data sets as well. Currently, we can only do Eco and Power, but soon we'll be able to store several versions, especially when we make individual adjustments for customers. For example, specifically for the transmission, one person wants a bit more, another a bit less, another wants to save on fuel. That's exactly what it's designed for. That's why, as you can see here, I can quickly show you that we can really set this up individually. I've just loaded the software now, and most of you probably know WinOls. We also work with WinOLS because when it comes to programming or changing values, it's simply the best and easiest program. Of course, you need to know what you're changing in there or how to use the program because it has a lot of functions. But as we've already said, if you're programming or developing properly, it's actually best to use WinOls because you can lay out the maps most clearly and it's easier to demonstrate things. So now we can see the software here. I've already laid it out. You can see it right here. This is written in binary hexadecimal code. That is what the software itself looks like, and that is how you are able to recognize it. With the software, you have the capability to rescale it and display everything in either D or D format. However, programming in D is known to be so difficult that basically no one can do it. I see the lines here. You might have seen them before. You can also make this wider here. This way, for example, you can see the torque curve here. Most people can make sense of that. I've just plotted it here for now. Let's make it a bit smaller again, then maybe you can see it better on the screen. This here is the torque curve, and this is the corresponding speed axis. So now you can see here directly in the binary values with the formula, it shows 1,200 Newton meters of torque. The truck, or the Atego, is specified with 1,200 Newton meters, and you can see here it has exactly its 1,200 Newton meters of torque right here. That's what it looks like in the curve. So now I can go down here, 1,200, 1,600, 1,800. So it actually has its maximum torque, I'd say, up to 1,600. And then it drops off to 1,167 Newton meters of torque. And that's exactly what we just measured on the test bench. You can also see the RPM range. If we look at the torque curve on the test bench, it actually reflects that. Of course, here it says 1,000 Newton meters. But probably because of things like the particulate filter, regeneration, wear and engine radiation, it just ends up being about 50 Newton meters too little. But in principle, we can compensate for that. Our rule of thumb with these engines is always, because these engines are available with up to 1,500 Newton meters from the factory. As far as the axles are concerned, it's definitely specified that we can actually go up to those 1,000 Newton meters. And now in principle, I can go ahead and change the values here. We can make some general adjustments here. It can be explained quite simply. A flat 25% rate. So then you can clearly see it right here. Here I can see that I have exactly 1,500 Newton meters at the peak. That's the maximum these engines can deliver. Now I can go in here for the customer very specifically. For instance, if someone says, look, I have an off-road motorhome and that's too much power for me because the drive axles might not be able to handle such high levels of torque, I can then just go in here, pull the entire curve down and individually adjust the torque specifically for that customer. We have many customers who drive on construction sites with the Atego or in distribution traffic with the postal service. Here, for example, I can just leave the last axles in the standard setting. So you see here, then it only revs up to 1,800 and then goes into the original range. Or I can go in and lower the last axle as well. So basically, I can program this individually for the customer. I can do that, Doctor. At the moment, I can say down here, look, we'll make this one up here a bit stronger or weaker. And I'd say in the range we're dealing with here, let's say from 800 to 1600. That's the range where the motorhome or the truck mainly operates. And it's important that in the 1100, 1200, 1300, 1400 range, it has the torque available. This way the truck shifts up much earlier. And as I said, every revolution needs fuel. So with lower RPM, less fuel is consumed. So you can just see exactly how the performance curve looks in the software. Now I'll go ahead and create two separate programs for him. One with 250 Newton meters for eco-optimization and another one with 300 Newton meters for power optimization, because that is exactly what he wanted for his vehicle. I'll then upload both online to the database and we'll meet again in the motorhome where we'll flash it again using the app. We'll show that very briefly as well. The flashing process for the MCM second generation control units takes about 10 minutes, and then I'd say we'll see each other again in the motorhome. I've now uploaded it to the online portal for Basti. He can now easily download it via the app. The app retrieves the data that I have stored for the chassis number. We'll now very briefly show the flashing process again, and we'll pan over to that as well. You can see that he can now go to the engine control unit here and has all the options, I would say. Read error memory, then serial state, meaning the original file, flash the eco optimization, the power optimization, and then he also has transmission software eco and transmission software standard. We always flash the engine control unit first and then code the transmission so that everything is coordinated. So the customer wants the power optimization and he's going to flash that now. You can see the progress bar starting now, and again, that's the topic. Last time I tried it anyway, just because I was curious about it again. So you can actually even take a phone call. As long as you don't close the app, it will keep flashing. The important thing is just not to walk away from the dongle, because if it loses the Bluetooth connection, then basically it shuts down, meaning it goes into an error state. But it doesn't matter, you can just put it back into recovery mode and program it as normal. Again, it's the same as before. We haven't yet managed to make a control unit stop working after that. So, as I said, it might be that support has to step in briefly, but normally the app is set up in such a way that nothing can really go wrong. You can see the progress bar moving up here. On average, this takes about 10 minutes, so we'll just let it run through now, and then we'll quickly go over optimizing the transmission. So, as you can see here again, it's finished programming, and then it tells me I can turn off the ignition, but we don't actually have to do that right now. You can just click OK, then it's finished programming, and it will automatically take us back. Now, something very important. You can see again the stock state, eco-optimization, power optimization. This is for the engine control unit. We'll break this down further for the transmission so the customer doesn't get confused. Now we'll go ahead and do the transmission optimization. Now code eco SE. It's running through now. Click, click. It's already done. It's already finished. So now, basically, the engine and transmission are synchronized with each other. Now let's go back one more step. Then the customer can scroll all the way down to the bottom again, and we can take another look at all the currently stored error memories. So as you can see, because of the flashing, there's now a CAN error in it. It's like when you unplug a control unit or something, it's just a transmission error in there. Now you can clear the error memory, which it has done successfully. Then we go back again, and basically that is the optimization process finished. Once that is stored within the application, the customer can flash it as often as they want to. There is no additional fee or anything. So the customer can decide that completely freely. The big advantage of all this is that, for example, if the customer goes for an update, we've programmed the app intelligently so that if the customer goes to the workshop and gets a software update, the app will recognize from the software number that a new data version has been installed. If the customer logs in and the data version is not stored, we receive a notification on the server and then we can immediately store it for the customer. But in most cases, it's already stored for the customers. So as we're currently building up the databases, the customer can directly reprogram it again. So this annoying issue with software updates, the workshop can't properly perform their service because they're never allowed to do updates. Our solution solves this, making it a really great solution for all customers, including those with full warranty or maintenance contracts, as they can always freely decide what to flash and reprogram as they wish. You can see here now, when I'm back on the start screen, we can go here and you can remove the dongle at the bottom again. You can always upload the system reports to us here, so we can also check online whether everything was flashed stably and whether everything worked properly. Basically, that's it. The flashing process is complete. Now we'll go ahead and do the initial measurement again, then we'll take a look at the results together. This is really, really important because we have already encountered this with many customers. The application is generated via TAN. The customer always receives a TAN from us, but it's only valid once. So it's very important to remember to only close the app and never log out, because if you do log out, the customer will then need a new TAN from us again. It's really not a big deal, as we can easily generate a new one, but of course it is always a little bit inconvenient. So as I said, if we want to close the app for now, just swipe up once, just be sure not to log out, and it will log in again right away. So even with updates and such, it actually runs smoothly. The only really important thing is to simply never log out, then the app will run forever. So now we'll do the initial measurement, then we'll take another look at the values. We've now done the initial measurement. As I said, this is the customer, Thomas Hein. As I mentioned, he's a very good customer of mine, a long-time customer already. We also get along very well, and we've run into each other several times at motorhome meetups. I'll just say this quickly, Thomas. You can see here in the initial measurement, we're taking another look at the torque values. Previously, we had Newton meters of torque, and with this power optimization that we've now set up, we now have 1,473, so 1,473 Newton meters of torque. Now for you, Thomas, I'm also setting the curve here in these high RPM ranges of 2,300 revolutions. Normally, my motorhome doesn't drive like that, and that's why today, towards the end of the rev range, we're going back to stock. So the peak power could be pushed even further here, up to 350 or 360 horsepower, but that's completely irrelevant because we don't operate in that RPM range. But you can see down there in the lower RPM range where we've always said you need the torque, where it's exciting in terms of power, where it shifts well and upshifts early. That's exactly what we've achieved here again, perfectly. I also think it's really awesome with Mercedes. You can see from the settings what kind of torques we have, and it translates exactly one-to-one on the test bench. The variation is really minimal, basically within the norm, and as we've already said, we've talked about this. We want to aim for the 1,000 Newton meters, and we're almost spot on. Peak power is irrelevant, as I already mentioned. So, Thomas, I think it's a great result again. I told you, you'll still get the Schaknat app from us. Then we've already installed it on your phone, and I've also done the training. As I said before you go to the service, you can reset it to its original state. You can reparameterize your gearbox yourself. You can choose the power variant. It could also be that you say, look, I do better with 250 Newton meters. No problem. You can now individually flash the 250 Newton meters. As a customer, that's entirely up to you. What's also really cool and incredibly useful is the ability to read and clear error codes. You know yourself, if you're traveling abroad and maybe there isn't a good, reliable Mercedes workshop nearby, this way the customer can basically read and clear the error codes all by themselves. Maybe they can already consult with their trusted home workshop, since these are original factory values and original errors, and whatever issue comes up, they can discuss it directly with their home workshop. That way you can sometimes solve small problems very quickly and quite easily. By the way, all our customers always get a Hugo Botufbaum. I don't know if you, as fellow motorhome drivers, have ever said thank you for it, but it smells really good. My ECKW drivers in particular really like to have it. As I said before, I was really happy to hear that you're already with us with your third motorhome. Thank you again. Take care. Goodbye. We're now at the end of this video. It was a whole lot of fun today to optimize such an expensive and high quality chassis. Up until now, we haven't done that much advertising specifically for motorhomes because, as I said, we mainly focus on freight companies and big trucks. But as you can clearly see, the light commercial vehicle sector is definitely growing. And in the motorhome sector, or rather the larger commercial vehicles, we're seeing more and more of them on the road. As we've said, we're very good contacts to have when it comes to heavy trucks. In the near future, we'll be making more videos about Morelo, Phoenix, and Concord, since those are the big body manufacturers in this space. We'll also, as mentioned, do some smaller 3.5 tonners, 4 Ducatos, and when we measure them on our own test bench, you'll really see that we basically work on all kinds of brands. We've specialized in commercial and heavy-duty vehicle technology, so for me, that naturally includes the 3.5 tonners, Sprinters, Ducatos, Ford Transits, absolutely everything, really. Of course, this is the upper class of vehicles, and I really enjoy optimizing things like this and getting such great performance figures out of them. And as I said, the customer appreciates it too. They're really going to have a lot of fun with this thing. It's great that you tuned in again to our video today. If you're interested in the topic, please feel free to check out our website at schaknat.de. You can also call us, email us, or send us a quick WhatsApp message. We're always happy to advise you by phone. Phone is always a bit easier for us because there are often very specific or individual questions that are much harder to answer properly by email. Thanks again for watching. See you next time. Thank you. Bye.